Deep-sea diving is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Commercial divers are 40 times more likely to die at work than the average American. The surest way to getting a promotion is simply staying alive. So, how do they do it? The Ocean Corporation Commercial Diver Training Facility, Houston, Texas. As professional divers, these young men could face a host of deadly dangers, from poisoning to electrocution. Doing a job like this takes a special kind of personality.
Maybe you feel like a little fish or a whale or dolphin or something. You know, I always wanted to be a dolphin.
Trainee Joe O'Meara is about to go toe-to-toe with the top causes of death for divers. Drowning and asphyxiation are responsible for 87% of all diver deaths. Joe's breathing air pumped from the surface through a 130-meter-long pipe called an umbilical, which also carries a communications link. At depths below 40 meters, the surface team used the umbilical to control a helium-air mix of breathing gas. His life is literally in their hands.
If they're not paying attention or get up to go to the bathroom or something and something goes wrong, then you have no way to escape.
But divers have to be able to handle any situation on their own, and Joe's about to have his air cut off. The first sign he gets is when he tries to breathe, and there's nothing there.
Diver 1 out of air, going on bailout.
Copy that, diver, going on bailout.
Let's check our air, main air, compressors.
On pure instinct, he has to switch over to his reserve, known as a bailout bottle, before he can take another breath.
Going on bailout.
Roger, acknowledge that.
Roger that, diver.
The little tank only carries enough gas for 10 minutes on a deep dive, but it might get him close enough to the surface to obtain help.
Fire coming your way.
Standby air is on your way.
Roger that. Diver going on bailout.
Let's find out why we lost main
For
air.
Joe, learning how to survive a potentially deadly accident like this is just another step on his path to becoming a pro diver.
It's a little different than scuba diving. It's like being an astronaut. There's really no way to describe it until you do it, but it's unlike anything else in the entire world. It's pretty cool.
Professional divers don't descend to depths of over 100 meters just to take in the view. They have work to do, and among the most dangerous jobs is welding. The welding equipment works by throwing out bolts of electricity which could fry an unprepared diver. So welding tools have to be encased in rubber to work safely underwater without leaking electricity. The guru of underwater welding is Master Instructor Ron Foreman.
Remember, give warning before striking an arc. Okay? We don't want anybody getting hurt down there.
On your underwater stinger, your exposed parts are the only spot where the electrode fits into it. You're pretty much isolated. Nothing can jump to the hand of the welder.
The trainee divers spend weeks learning on land with gear that acts just like the equipment they'll use underwater. They need to know it inside out, because electricity isn't the only hazard these divers can expect to face.
Riser clamp, yes? I want this riser clamp out on this dive.
Instructor Gary Teed has another surprise in store.
Yes, sir. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. Let's do it.
This dive isn't just about synchronized spanner wielding. Trainees Skylar Baxter and Chris Pelletier are learning to avoid every diver's worst nightmare: the deadly decompression sickness known as the bends. As they rise from the depths, the pressurized air inside their bodies expands. On a deep-sea dive, they could be racing against time, running out of air. When they come up fast, air starts forming bubbles in their blood, which can obstruct the supply to vital body parts, causing blindness, paralysis, even death. The only way to avoid it is to get Skylar and Chris's bodies back under pressure to stop the bubbles forming. So they're in a race to get to the decompression chamber. This will prevent the bends by letting their bodies adjust to surface air pressure gradually.
Right now, we're bringing the divers into the decompression chamber for simulated decompression.
4 minutes left.
Offshore in the commercial diving field, because of we want to get as much time in the water as we can to prevent the bends or decompression sickness. We've got to get into the chamber. It is a must. Sit down, divers. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Grab a hold of something. Pull. There you go.
The longer they take getting in, the longer they'll have to spend trapped inside.
That right there would have screwed you considerably.
The air inside the chamber has to match the pressure they were breathing at depth and then be reduced to surface levels. Temperatures inside the chamber can fluctuate from just 10 degrees all the way up to 40 degrees Celsius. And after a deep dive, they could be stuck there for 4.5 hours. By the time they get out, they can be a little stir-crazy. But as long as the divers can see straight, it's been a good dive.
Really wants to get it there.
All right, cool. Feel your hands, no tingling.
Good.
The training's tough because they have to be ready to face any danger and work in near impossible conditions, even total darkness. Diving off an oil rig, they may have to deal with pitch-black water. Floating in total darkness, they could easily lose all sense of direction or become trapped by pipes or cables. So they practice with their dive masks taped up, leaving them just a 5-centimeter gap to see through.
Okay, we're in a rock now. You hear me good? Yeah, I can hear you good.
And then Ron makes it even harder, muddying the water to bring the visibility way down.
I'd heard from one of the employers that they dropped a guy to the bottom to start cutting in. He'd been used to doing it in nice, crystal clear water. He got to the bottom, stirred up some of the mud and silt on the bottom. It blacked out on him, and he couldn't start the job. He said he couldn't do it. So I started clouding my water up real bad to get them used to it. That way, when my guys get dropped to the bottom, they get right to work.
Nobody does it better. From Any Odd Job to Jaws. As long as Ron makes the training tough enough, these divers should be ready to handle any undersea danger.